Have you ever wondered if it's better to be your own boss or to work for a big company? That's what we're talking about today.
I think so many people ask themselves this question. Hi everyone, I'm Mary, and with me is Nas. Today, you'll hear a conversation about working for yourself versus working for a company.
First, we'll listen to a natural dialogue about the topic. After that, we'll help you learn some useful vocabulary and expressions from the conversation.
And at the end, we have some review questions and activities, plus a little challenge for you. Ready to start? Let's jump into our dialogue.
Mary, have you ever thought about starting your own business instead of working for someone else?
Actually, yes. Sometimes I dream about working for myself. I love the idea of setting my own schedule and not having a boss watching over me all the time.
That sounds great, but it also sounds risky. What if you don't find enough clients, or your business doesn't grow? The steady paycheck from a company feels much safer to me.
True, security is a big advantage, but being your own boss means you get to make all the decisions. You're in control. I have a friend who started a small bakery, and now she decides when to work, what to bake, and even how much vacation she takes.
That's inspiring. But running a business can be really stressful. You have to manage your own taxes, find customers, and sometimes work late nights or weekends. Isn't that overwhelming?
It can be tough, for sure. But working at a company isn't always easy either. There are long meetings, strict deadlines, and you sometimes feel like just a small part of a big machine.
I get what you mean. I guess the biggest difference is the trade-off between freedom and stability. Some people like the structure of a 9-to-5 job, while others want the freedom to do things their own way.
Exactly. And I think it depends on your personality and what you value more. For me, I like the idea of flexibility, but I also want to feel secure. Maybe one day, I'll try freelancing part-time to see how it goes.
That's a smart idea. Maybe finding a balance is the key. Try something new, but don't give up the stability until you're sure it works for you.
Great advice, Nas. It's not an easy choice, but it's definitely worth thinking about.
Now, let's talk about some important words and expressions from our conversation. We'll explain each one and give examples. Ready, Mary?
Absolutely. Let's help everyone understand these new words. Our first word is set your own schedule. This means you decide when you work, instead of following someone else's timetable. For example, when you work for yourself, you can set your own schedule.
Our next phrase is steady paycheck. A steady paycheck is regular money you get from a job, usually every week or month. Like, many people like a steady paycheck because it feels safe.
Next, we have being your own boss. This means you are in control of your work and make all the decisions. Example, she wanted more independence, so she became her own boss.
Find clients is another important expression. It means you look for people who will pay for your service or product. For instance, freelancers have to find clients to keep working.
Let's talk about grow a business. If you grow a business, you make it bigger or more successful. Here's a sentence. It can take years to grow a successful business.
Manage your own taxes is when you are responsible for paying your taxes, not your company. For example, if you work for yourself, you have to manage your own taxes.
Trade-off is another useful word. A trade-off is when you give up one thing to get another. Example, there's always a trade-off between freedom and security.
We also said strict deadlines. That means you have to finish your work by a certain time, and there's no flexibility. For example, working for a company often means following strict deadlines.
And part of a big machine is an expression. It means you feel like just one small piece in a huge organization. For example, sometimes employees feel like they're just part of a big machine.
Last, let's cover freelancing. Freelancing means working for different people or companies, not just one boss, usually on short projects. Example, she started freelancing to have more control over her time.
Great work! Now you know these important words. Next, let's listen to the dialogue one more time so you can catch these expressions in action.
Now that you know the key vocabulary, let's listen to the conversation again. Try to notice the words and phrases we just explained.
If you want, you can pause and rewind as you listen. Remember, the more you practice, the more you'll understand. Let's play the dialogue now.
Now let's practice the new vocabulary together. I'll ask you some questions, and you try to answer.
First one. What does set your own schedule mean? Can you think of a job where someone does this?
Good. Next, when you have a steady paycheck, what does that mean for your monthly budget?
Another one. If you find clients, what are you doing? What kind of work needs this skill?
Here's a fun one. What's a trade-off you might make if you become your own boss?
Try this. Use strict deadline in a sentence about your school or work life.
And can you remember what part of a big machine means? When might someone feel like that?
Last question. What is freelancing? Can you think of a job where people usually freelance?
Let's quickly review the key vocabulary we learned today. Set your own schedule, steady paycheck, being your own boss, find clients, grow a business, manage your own taxes, trade-off, strict deadlines, part of a big machine, and freelancing.
You did a great job. Try to remember these words and use them when talking about your job or future plans. The more you use them, the easier they'll become.
Now, it's your turn. Try writing your own sentences in the comments using the new vocabulary from today's lesson.
And if you have ideas for new topics you want to practice listening to, tell us below. We love hearing your suggestions and making lessons just for you. Thanks for learning with us, and see you next time.